Yo, what's up guys, it's me Jake here, and today I'm going to be doing my first part of me trying to catch up to every series inside of Shonen Jump. Whether I like it, I don't like it, and yada yada yada. I'm going to be trying to make a video about this a week or every couple weeks, because I've already caught up to most of the bigger series such as My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover, basically One Piece. I just haven't read Wano. The only big series I have yet to catch up on is actually Dr. Stone. Then, after that, the longest series in Jump currently is Mission Yozakura Family with about 83 chapters currently, even though when this video comes out there's going to be a new chapter tomorrow, but I'm going to be trying to catch up to most of these 70 to 80 chapter series in about a week and a half, and make videos about them. And of course, I'm going to read Dr. Stone probably next or after the next one, because I'm either choosing that or Undead Luck next. So it's a hard choice, but I'm probably going to go Undead Luck and then make another video, and then drop my Dr. Stone video, which will take me a little bit because it is wordy in 200 chapters. But to get back into the real video, we're going to be talking about something that you guys will see my opinion of in a matter of like 20 seconds. Mashle, Muscles, and Magic. So, if you don't know what Mashle's about at all, I follow this kid named Mash who does not have magic in a world of magic, and people without magic are kind of exiled and killed off and completely disrespected by the society of magic that is within this world. And this world is kind of a mix of the One Punch Man, Black Clover, and Harry Potter world, mainly taking aspects of Harry Potter mixed with characters that are mostly like Black Clover, and then of course Mash kind of like acting kind of like Saitama. But I will also get back into it of Mash being born without magic. He works his butt off to become this big muscular guy. Even though he's a robot, you can't really tell he has big muscles, and basically he fights magic with his muscles, and one day he is caught by not having magic, and he is given the choice of going to this magic academy and becoming a divine visionary, which is someone who is very good at magic. And if he becomes a divine visionary, they can't really kill him, so that's his only choice in life to actually survive. And we see Mash on his journey to live and become this divine visionary. So for the plot of Mashle, I feel like it's all over the place. It's not good, it's not bad. I'm gonna say it's a pretty decent story at best. I think there are highlights of this, but I think there's a lot of more lowlights, as I think a lot of the comedy is overused, and I think that after the first time you use a pun, you shouldn't use it again, and Mashle is one of those culprits who keeps reusing a pun over and over again. Of course, sometimes it works, like Saitama, but I feel like Saitama is way more well written than Mash was overall, but I'm not trying to talk about Mash right now. I'll talk about that more when I'm talking about characters, but right now is plot, so I'm going to not try to get too sidetracked about this. But basically, the plot is good. I feel like since it's a comedy trying to imitate these generic shonens and try to be a generic shonen on purpose, it doesn't do it well. I feel like it's way too generic at that point, where it's not feeling like it's trying to imitate it. It just is very generic. Now, is that bad? No, because a lot of people do like generic shonen, and that's just subjective on my point. I don't think it's funny, and it's not my sense of humor, so I think that that plot point of it trying to be something that's super generic didn't really hit well for me. Now, do I think it's a pretty good series? I think it's pretty decent. I think overall I'd give Mashle a 6.5, and yes, I know I have two sides of my brain, the over-analytical and the shonen brain, but I went into Mashle with a complete shonen brain, and it still didn't hit for me. And I think that's mainly because it's very comedy-focused, and the sense of humor was not my sense of humor at all. I think that the sense of humor caught me laughing a couple times, but for something that's trying to get you into this comedic, oh, I'm gonna laugh like every chapter, and it didn't make me laugh a lot, it didn't work out too well for it. I will very much admit that. I think Mashle is good overall, but I don't think it's anything special. And yes, I know, I'm ready for hate comments, and I'm ready for all the hate, because Mashle is so beloved by the fans. But not everyone has to love everything. I don't think a lot of people get this. Not everyone has to love every series, because not every series is meant for that specific person. Like, I could say, oh, I love Bleach, but then you could just completely despise Bleach because you didn't like the 1,000 Year Blood War arc. Well, I actually did, because people have different opinions and people don't really see that, but that's out of the point. I think I'm done talking about the plot because I basically have nothing else to say. I think there's some highlights, like Mash did this one thing around chapter 15 or 16 when he met Dot and was helping Dot against the second year. If you know what I mean, let me just say, you still have 10 more hits. That's a really cold moment for Mash, but overall, I think that the plot is very all over the place. It's good and bad at the same time. I just can't think about if I do very much enjoy the plot or not. I think it's good, but nothing special, but that's just me, and I'm going to talk about the characters now because, wow, this cast, I think it's one of the most I think this is one of the most forgettable casts in a shonen that I've read recently. Mash just feels like a terrible Saitama. Like, I'm gonna be very honest, Saitama is funny. I love Saitama as a character. He has a lot more depth to him than Mash, and I feel like Mash, of course, it is very early, but I don't have that same attachment to Mash than I did Saitama, which really took away from Mash's character for me, and I really just don't like Mash's sense of comedy. I feel like the cream puff thing that Mash always has just felt so overused at chapter 10 and at chapter 77. They're still doing it, so it just doesn't really hit for me anymore. Not only that, I think the most of the time when it's like oh, I can't use magic, sad face, it's just not funny to me, and seeing him ramble is just like when I hate seeing Deku ramble. They're like the same thing to me, because if you don't know, when Deku rambled, I hated it. I still hate it. I hate when Deku rambles, and Mash does somewhat of the same thing where he gets overloaded in his brain and he just like, I can use magic, I can use magic, I can use magic, I can use magic, and I'm like, no, I don't care. It's not funny to me. Next up, Finn. I literally had to look up his name before the video because I forgot him, because he literally does nothing throughout the series. He's cool and all, does nothing. His magic's sick, I will admit that. A lot of these characters have really cool magic other than Mash because he doesn't have it, but Finn, literally, I just don't like because I don't see him much. Next up is Lance Crown. Now, not only just because he has a sister complex, there's a lot of other reasons too that I will go into, but I think Lance just feels too much like Ghost to me from Black Clover. The white hair doesn't help, but basically both of them have sister complex, which that's one thing. Then, just like Ghost, Lance has a superiority complex where he thinks he's better than everyone else. Then, just like Ghost, his sister complex goes even farther to be like, oh, here's a picture of Marie, or here's a picture of my sister, here's merch for my sister, stuff like that. Not all sister complex characters do that, so that's one thing. And then next, Ghost has his magic eye, which makes it something special to him, and not many people have that. And Lance has the double line, which is special to him, and not many people have that. You can see where I'm going here. Now, one does use mirror magic and one does use gravity magic, which is completely different. I will give it to them. But I will say, I think Lance Crown just felt too much like Ghost to me for me to really enjoy him. Now, Rain, I think Rain is sick, even though he doesn't really show up much. But Rain Ames is such a cool Divine Visionary. I love his character, but it doesn't make up for the rest of the cast, since Dot I like a lot. I think the main two characters I like a lot are Dot and Rain. That's it. I think Lemon is kind of annoying. She does nothing. Yes, there's a character named Lemon and Dot. I know it's kind of stupid, but it's a shonen, so I'm not going to go too deep on the names. Who cares? But Lemon and Dot, I think Dot's funny. Dot's probably the most funny character to me out of this whole entire cast. That's not me just saying, oh, this whole cast is terrible. It just, they don't resonate with me because I don't feel attachment towards them. I feel like if Mashle was my first manga I've read, I would have more attachment towards these characters. But since it's not one of the first manga I've read a lot of manga before it, I just can't get attached to many of these characters because some of these characters really just feel like a lot of other characters. And not only that, some of these characters just feel like rip-offs to me, and that's why I really can't get attached to them. But I can get attached to the person they're ripping off because it feels more genuine, like Ghost or Saitama for Mash. I think that Saitama and Mash, yes, both have this kind of pan-faced look whenever they're fighting, and they don't look like they're taking things seriously. You know Saitama really just wants that one fight that he really has to go serious on, that one fight where he actually has to try. But Mash doesn't have that. Saitama is striving for a goal that is basically impossible within his character's construct. But Mash is just trying to become a Divine Visionary so he can live. Yes, that's still a goal, but I think that Saitama's goal is way more easy to resonate with, mostly because we saw him as a normal human being. Even when Mash was a kid, we saw him working out. We saw him getting stronger and stronger, but as a fully grown adult, Saitama was weak. He fought a monster and barely won and was basically dead. And then we see him being who he is now, and it resonates with us because he was still a normal human being for most of the life before that. And I think that's why Saitama is such a great character and why Mash just wasn't resonating with me. Now, I think that both are good. I think Saitama's amazing. I think Mash has good elements, but Saitama has amazing ones that he builds upon throughout the story, and the construct of his character is just constructed with way more depth, shall I say. I can't really think about the wording right now, but he has way more depth within his character than Mash that I like more. But of course, some people say, oh, depth and all that is subjective, because of course it is. Everyone sees things differently, and everyone will see these different hints differently, and take these different subtle things differently, because we don't hear a voice to it, so we don't know the actual emotion behind it. So I will say, of course, people will take depth differently and all that, but to me, I think Saitama's just better, and that's why I don't like Mash. And a lot of the characters in Mashle I don't enjoy nearly as much as others. Now, to continue off with my characters, I'm going to say the antagonist. Now, of course, we haven't really seen the main antagonist much, which is Innocent Zero, but the rest don't feel too good. I don't really like many of the antagonists that they're facing up against. Their designs are cool at times, like this one. I really think this one's a cool design, but overall, as an antagonist, I didn't like him, and I feel like a lot of the antagonists inside of Mashle, or the antagonistic kind of figures that are against Mash, aren't that interesting overall. I think the antagonists are probably one of the weakest points of Mashle that I actually very much dislike, as I don't like almost any of them. Only one of them I like, and that's in one of the more recent chapters, and it's not even Innocent Zero. And Innocent Zero overall, I just don't like so far, because his character is just very weird, and it just doesn't feel like it would fit this kind of series. Of course, it kind of fits the series, but I just don't like how they are trying to fit Innocent Zero inside of Mashle. It's just not my thing, but I will say, I do think the antagonists are one of the weaker points of Mashle, but that's my opinion, of course. Some people will be like, oh, this dude's my favorite antagonist of all time, but everyone has different opinions, so I don't like Mashle nearly as much as you guys, so don't hate on me just because my opinions are different from yours. That's just what I'm gonna say. But of course, I'm ready for the terrible like to dislike ratio that I'm 100% gonna get. Okay, so the next thing, the power scaling. Now I know it's supposed to be kind of like a generic shonen, as that's what it's trying to do. It's trying to mimic a very generic shonen, but this power scaling is past Dragon Ball Super, man. Like, this power scaling is so bad in my opinion. Basically, Mash is trying to become a divine visionary, and these people are in divine visionary level, and he beats them, and he's still not even considered a divine visionary candidate. What? At one point, one person makes a divine visionary actually try in a fight and go equal with him without him going full power, and then like 12 chapters later, Mash fights that person, and that person's going full out, unlike when he was fighting the actual divine visionary, and Mash still beats him. And guess what? Mash isn't even a divine visionary candidate! Oh my god, this hurts. It actually hurts me. And then, of course, he fights Innocent Zero a little bit, and this strong being that is so strong is having difficulty, and Mash is just evading all of his attacks. I literally can't. I'm gonna be honest, this power scaling for me has been just terrible. I just don't like this power scaling at all. I think Mash, yes, he's cool and strong, but if you're gonna have this power scaling, just have him lose some fights, please. I'd rather see Mash lose and having to get back up and try even harder the next time, and see that work go in would be way more interesting than just seeing him win every single time, because hamstring magic full power, which is just like Serious Punch. Yeah, I really don't like that. I think it's very, 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 not just generic, but it is literally trying to copy other series, in my opinion. I don't like this power scaling at all. I actually completely despise it. It's probably my thing I hate the most about Mashle is the power scaling. I think it's probably a 1 out of 10. I actually hate it. It's one of the only things I actually hate about any manga is when they mess up power scaling that bad. It's so annoying. It's so annoying to me. But of course, everyone has their own opinions, like I said earlier. So some of you guys might be like, oh, it's so cool. These fights are great. To me, I hate this power scaling. I just do. I really don't like it. It's just all I have to say. I'm going to stop complaining now and just go on to the next one, which will be an overview, because I have nothing else I think I have to say about Mashle. Yes, I will be continuing to pick up the volumes, but that's not because I enjoyed it and it's one of my favorite manga. It's because I've already read it on the Jump app, and I want to support the industry. And I don't only just want to support the industry, I also want to support Hajime Komodo. So that's my thoughts. I don't like Mashle too much. I think it's good, but nothing insane. I think out of everything in Jump right now that I'm currently reading, it's one of the weaker ones that I'm currently reading. Probably like bottom 4, bottom 3. I'm currently caught up to around 8 or 9 series. And yeah, if that says anything, I just don't like their comedy. I don't like Mashle's comedy, like, basically at all. So that's me, and I don't really like the power scaling either, so that's another thing that tears it down. Characters, I just haven't been able to really establish any emotion towards them. So that's just all my subjective thoughts. Of course, everyone has their own opinions, so I've recorded this outro about like 5 times because I literally can't formulate a sentence. But this video of a terrible like to dislike ratio, I am very much ready for it. Yeah, I really think Mashle's good. It's like a 6.5. Nothing better, nothing worse. I think that's where it's like it's above average. That's what that rating is for me. So take it or leave it. If you like it, I love you. If you don't like this video, I can't do much. Of course, everyone has different opinions, so just because I don't like it doesn't mean you have to hate me for it. But of course, a lot of people probably will in the comments because they'll be debating with me about how great Mashle is. And I'm already ready to see the 5,000 word comments because it's happened too many times. And yeah, that's all I have to say for Mashle. That's all I have to say in this video, so I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope I see you guys next time. Peace!